Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only Hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Hosting Cruz, and guys, this video is about one question and one question only. Why is everyone interviewing Hitchins and no one asks him about his mandatory fight with Matias? Why? Why? Anytime I watch an interview with Richardson Hitchins, whoever's interviewing him, they mention every fight, they mention every fighter at 140, from Teofimo to Barbosa, Kambosos, even the Kambosos fight, a fight that Kambosos doesn't even deserve because he's only had one fight at 140 against a nobody in a competitive fight, and now he's in the title shot, while Matias has to wait likely till December until Hitchins is done with Kambosos. So Kambosos fights twice before Matias steps back into the ring. Crazy. They interview Hitchins every time, like David Diamante, and then recently over at Enes Stanionis card, they interviewed Hitchins, and once again, they mention every fighter at 140. Not every fighter, but they mention Teofimo, the big names. But they do not, and they always ask, who do you want next? But they do never ask or mention the mandatory fight, Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias is a former world champion at 140. He's a true 140 former world champion, is a name, not a big name, but is a name, and has earned the right to fight Hitchins. And Hitchins is out there getting interviews and pretending that Matias and the mandatory fight doesn't even exist. You know, and I've been paying close attention to this. Like every interview, I be waiting. Like I'm right here with my hands crossed, just waiting for them to mention Subriel Matias and the mandatory fight. And every time they fail because they don't mention it. And I'm sure Hitchins is like, please do not ask me about the mandatory fight. Please. And every time Hitchins gets his wish because they do not ask him about, hey, so you're looking forward for a Teofimo fight, you're looking forward for a Barbosa fight. What about the mandatory fight? What about your mandatory? Subriel Matias. Did not ask him about it. Never. David Diamante, like I said earlier, sat down with him. About a 13-minute interview. I'm there waiting. And they mention fighters. They mention who's next, who do you want next. And once again, David does not ask him, what about your mandatory, Hitchins? What about the Subriel Matias fight? And I'm looking forward to someone asking him that to see what he says, because we all feel that Hitchins is ducking Subriel Matias. He can say what he wants, that he's not ducking. There's some DMs that have been exposed between Hitchins and Matias with a bit back and forth, even on social media, when Hitchins brought out that sparring video and Matias jumped on there and said, I'm going to make you quit on your stool. I'll be watching you. I'll be watching your next fight. Hitchins comes back and said, of course you'll be fucking watching me. I'm not ducking the smoke. I got a bounty on your head, and I'm going to prove to you and everyone else that you're not at my level. Here's the thing about the mandatory. If Hitchins does not accept the mandatory, which I feel he wouldn't, he won't, he's going to look stupid. After all that chat and back and forth he gave Matias and saying, no, he's not going to back out. He's going to show us, the boxing world, that Matias is not on his level. If he does not accept the mandatory after his defense against Kambosos, he's going to look real stupid. His best bet is to show that he's a true champion. True champion. And he will back up his words and accept the Matias fight. Because, of course, that's what Matias wants. Matias is waiting. This is why Matias is waiting. He's earned the right by beating Gabriel Goyas, Venezuela. So this is my thing with this video. This was just wanted to ask, why is no one asking Richardson Hitchins about the mandatory fight, Subriel Matias? They mentioned Teofimo. They mentioned every fighter. That's not Subriel Matias. And when Matias was champ, this is not an issue that's going on now. This is an issue when Matias, even when Matias was champion. No one mentions him. Like the IBF title didn't exist. Now it exists because it's no longer around the shoulders or waist of Matias. But now that Matias is a mandatory means you have to fight this fighter. And I'm sure if it was not Subriel Matias and someone else, I'm sure they would have been asking about the mandatory. But they're not because why? It's Subriel Matias. So yeah, just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about that. I've always wanted to ask that question, come on here and do a video about it. Because it's true, every interview is like his mandatory doesn't exist. No one ever asks about the mandatory fight. They ask everything else. They ask about every fighter, but not Subriel Matias. And I'm sure Subriel Matias is pissed about it. Man, if another thing, for Hitchins to accept the Matias fight, I would give him respect. Like I said, I would give him respect. And that's a true champion right there, okay? But now he's going to be in front of a pissed off Matias. They already going back and forth. Matias already doesn't like him. Matias is a humble fighter. He goes in there, beats his opponent up, and he does it because it's a part of his job. He's never been in there pissed off. So imagine a pissed off Matias. So yeah, just want to come here to talk to you guys about that. I'm waiting. Hopefully one day we get to see someone ask Richardson Hitchins, what about the mandatory fight? What about the Subriel Matias fight? Hopefully we get it. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Hosting Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.